Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. In this session, we'll be discussing from the 29th verse of the 12th chapter of the first canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Iti ragnya upadishya vipra jataka kovidaha labdha apachitaya sarve pratijagmo swakan gruhan. The meaning of this verse is, thus, those who are expert in astrological knowledge and in performance of the birth ceremony instructed King Yudhishthira about the future history of his child. Then, being sumptuously remunerated, they all returned to their respective homes. The description has been given earlier verses about the Brahmanas foretelling the good qualities of the child who will grow up to be a first class devotee of the Supreme Lord. So Yudhishthira was anxious that whether this child will be as qualified as the forefathers in his dynasty. And Yudhishthira was assured by the Brahmanas, the learned Brahmanas, who could read the horoscope of the child and foretell the different wonderful qualities which the child will manifest when he grows up. So in the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada says, the Vedas are the storehouse of knowledge, both material and spiritual. This is a special thing about the Vedas. Other books of knowledge are mainly giving us material knowledge at best, whereas the Vedas contain both material and spiritual knowledge. But, Srila Prabhupada says, such knowledge aims at perfection of self-realization. Ordinarily, in the material world, material knowledge is simply used for sense gratification. And the defect of sense gratification is it binds us to this material world to suffer concomitant reactions to our own actions. Now, whether the actions are pious or not, in any case, material actions have reactions which bind us to the material world. So this is very, very important to understand. People generally think if we perform pious activities, then we are not sinfully implicated, because of which we can lead a happy, healthy, prosperous life in this world. While that is partially correct, it is not the complete truth. Under the influence of illusion, we don't take note of the fact that there are 4 fundamental miseries and 3 kinds of fundamental other miseries which are imposed upon everyone in the whole material creation, beginning from Brahma down to the most insignificant creature. Brahma, situated in the highest mode of goodness, even he is afraid of death. Even he is in anxiety when Hiranyakashipu terrorized the whole universe. So, nobody is freed from fear, anxiety. Sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat. You accept material existence via this material body, and you are forced to suffer 4 fundamental miseries: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. I mentioned this several times in the past. And also the 3 impositions of material nature: Adhi Daivika Klesha, Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha. Everyone suffers this throughout the universe. So, we cannot be completely free from all suffering in material existence simply by performing pious activities, materially pious activities. So that is particularly highlighted in the spiritual knowledge given in the Vedas. While people are engrossed in the material knowledge, either given by modern books of knowledge or given by the Vedas, they forget the ultimate reality of material existence, which in essence is simply suffering. The Vedas warn us that all those who have born have to die. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityohu. In the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Krishna says, of one who has taken birth in this material world, it is certain that such person will have to die. And the example is in the Bhagavatam. Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal in that very body that he had taken birth. And Brahma said, no, you cannot be immortal in this body. Nobody can be immortal. Even Brahma cannot be immortal in the same body in which he has taken birth. Even he has to leave his body. Therefore, the Vedas instruct us, especially Bhagavad Gita, which gives the essence of the Vedic wisdom, the spiritual wisdom in the Vedas, that you are spirit soul, and as spirit soul you are entitled to spiritual bliss, eternal life of spiritual bliss and spiritual knowledge, Satchidananda, state of existence. And that is possible by realizing yourself as spiritual by nature, same quality as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And such realization is perfected by Krishna consciousness, by Bhakti Yoga, not by any other method. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, the knowledge of the Vedas ultimately aims at perfection of self-realization. In other words, Srila Prabhupada says, the Vedas are the guides for the civilized man in every respect. Since human life is the opportunity to get free from all material miseries, it is properly guided by the knowledge of the Vedas in the matters of both material needs and spiritual salvation. Material needs and spiritual salvation. Material necessities are there of the body, but that is very easily taken care of by following the Vedic directions. And most importantly, if we follow the Vedas, then we can also achieve spiritual salvation, spiritual liberation. There is a material conception of liberation where one merely thinks that let me become free from all material problems or material miseries or material bondage. But merely becoming free from all material bondage without realizing one's own spiritual self is imperfect. Why? Because as spirit soul, we are always active. We are always active. We cannot be inactive. We cannot be without activity as spirit soul. So those who become free from material bondage by any process other than bhakti, but do not realize their spiritual self, they actually do not sustain their state of freedom from material bondage, because they do not know about the activities after becoming free from material bondage if they are not engaged in pure devotional service to Krishna. So pure devotional service to Krishna is not only freedom from material bondage, but also engagement in the spiritual state of existence, active spiritual state of existence. So therefore, we need not only to fulfill the demands of this body, the material needs, but also work for attaining the spiritual state of existence beyond this material existence. And that is possible only by bhakti, bhakti yoga. Further, Srila Prabhupada says, the specific intelligent class of men who were devoted particularly to the knowledge of the Vedas were called the Vipras, or the graduates of the Vedic knowledge. There are 4 stages of this development in terms of the Brahmanical culture. What do the scriptures say? Janmana jayate shudra. By birth, everybody is ignorant. Shudra here means one is born ignorant. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita also. Ichha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Everyone is born into ignorance in this material world. Even if one takes birth in a Brahmana family with good parents, very nice cultured family, very nice, one may have a very nice upbringing, but it is necessary to actually undergo samskara, purification, cultural purification, even after taking birth in a Brahmana family. And that's what exactly Yudhishthira Maharaj is doing. He is doing this samskara called Jata Karma for the child Parikshit, which is performed by qualified Brahmanas. And the Vedas further say, Janmana jayate shudra samskara dvijamuchyate. One gets a second birth. The first birth is by the parents, the mother and father who conceive a child. The second birth is by cultural purification, samskara. There are 10 kinds of samskara, Dashavida samskara. And Jata karma is one of them. So, samskara dvijamuchyate, the particular samskara which actually gives one the status of being twice born, second birth, is called Upanayana, the sacred thread ceremony. So, this samskara is required for advancement or progress on the spiritual path in the human form of life. So, I'll stop here. We'll discuss more in the next session. Hare Krishna.